As Niharika told you, I am an exchange student from India, from IIT Bombay. I wasn't born in Bombay. I was born in a northern state of Bihar, and I lived there for 10 years. Just before puberty struck me, I moved bases to Delhi. That's when puberty struck me finally. I realized I was interested in men, boys my age that time. Now it's just awkward to call them boys. Anyway, so this is my story, and this is about queering my 20s in India while I'm a criminal. Okay. What is queer? I gave you a handout for reference sake. It has a legal history of the case in India, which is about 20 years ago that the fight started for decriminalization of homosexuality. Mind you, I should correct myself that it's not homosexuality which is banned, it's unnatural offenses which is banned. It's a Victorian term, and Victoria, as she was very uptight, she also was scared of anything which was not penile vaginal. So this law is a law which does not ban homosexual sex, it bans everything which is not penile vaginal. So I think a lot of us in this room would be criminals if you are a sexually active adult and Indian, and if you're going to go in India. But what strikes out of the box is that the law is specifically used against the LGBTQ community. It's not a law which the police would go to normal people and see if they're having oral sex. It would be used against people who are on the streets, who are, as you know, the Hijra community, the closeted homosexual community, in order to harass them to ask for money, to do all kind of crazy stuff. So what is queer? Queer is a political and personal ideology of non-binary sexual and gender fluidity. This means I can be a person, I can be anywhere from left to right on a spectrum of gender identity, right being masculine and left being really feminine. So depending on where I am, I would define my gender identity. The same scale applies on sexual identity, which is defined by your biological sex. Mind you, again, there is no binary. There's a whole spectrum of sexual identity. We would not like to talk about it, but biology, like it's in science, there is a whole spectrum of sexual identity. Then comes sexual attraction. You can be asexual and you can be sexual. When in sexual, you can have a homosexual identity or all the way on the spectrum to heterosexual identity. So these are three basic scales. People are anywhere on these scales. This is very well accepted in the academia. Nations do not really accept it that well. The West is coming up to the notion of gender and sexual diversity. India, on the other hand, is going backwards in time. What does it mean to me? Queer. I mean, all that jargon, all that shenanigan about the technicalities. What does it mean to me? It means just to break out of the status quo. Just to be the person I am without the baggage, without any coercion from anyone, any cajoling from anyone to be something I am not. Now I am at a stage wherein I can define my identity, I can define what I want to be, I can make decisions, I can suffer for them, I can do good with them. It's me, it's my life. I need to decide for myself, my sexual identity, my gender identity, my everything. That is queer for me. It is my label to be unlabeled, to be what I am. Oh, so I just told you about the scale. The first major research was done by Alfred Kinsey from Indiana University in the US in 1940s. He produced the first volume of Sexual Behavior in Human Male. After that came Human Female, which were really, they dropped a bomb on the US. This was also the time, ironically, of the Second World War. So the atom bomb dropped on Hiroshima and there was a social bomb dropped on the US. By Kinsey, he gave what is known as the Kinsey scale, which is somewhat like what I told. Among the infinite possibilities, he picked out a scale from 0 to 6, exclusively homosexual, exclusively heterosexual, and all sort of identities in between. That's the Kinsey scale. It's just a historical, it's for historical purposes. We may agree to disagree with Kinsey, but he was one of the first people to start with the scale. I mean, I don't like the scale this way, I like it this way, but that's personal preference. Anyways, so coming back to the law. The law was a draft, the British, after they established rule in India in 1857, after the Sepoy Mutiny, Victorian Britain wanted to govern India with a common penal code. So Lord Macaulay was given the charge. He took some years and drafted what is known as the Indian Penal Code of 1861. The code hasn't gone a lot of changes since then. Any major changes have not happened. So you can see that the law goes back to 200 years in time. And it is still the same with Pakistani Penal Code, Bangladeshi Penal Code, because they all inherit the Indian Penal Code. And the law reads exactly these lines. Whoever voluntarily has carnal intercourse. Now, carnal intercourse, ladies and gentlemen, is subjective. In few court cases, and as Indian legal system works on the precedence law, the Convention of Precedence. If there has been a judgment which says something, it would be taken in account when another judgment is passed. So, few judgments have defined carnal intercourse. Penetration is sufficient for carnal intercourse? Not necessary. Now that's a vague statement. If you don't define carnal intercourse as penetration and leave it open for interpretation, then anything can be carnal intercourse. Against the order of nature, with any man, woman or animal shall be punished with imprisonment of life or imprisonment of either description of term, which may extend to 10 years and shall also be liable to fine. This stays on the statute book since 11th December 2013, when Supreme Court of India upheld the constitutionality of Section 377. I fail to understand. I really fail to understand the logic given how such an apparent, such a ubiquitous thing is not visible to the eyes of my lordships. This is the legal history. 1861 was IPC establishment. 1994 was the first time it was challenged in a court. Then the case which is running right now was given in 2001. It was admitted in 2005 after the Supreme Court directed Delhi High Court to do that. 2009, July 2nd, 2009 was the Stonewall movement of India. Stonewall was this riot. Stonewall riots are known as the first foundation of gay rights in the West, because it was when these queens have had enough of cops bullying them. They got on the streets, they made riots, they fought for their rights. July 2nd, 2009 was one such movement for us when the law was read down by the Delhi High Court. Subsequently, it was challenged in the Supreme Court, which went ahead and reinstated it in 2013. Also, the government of India filed a review, which was quashed in January this year. Sadly. Okay, coming back. That was just a contextual background of what I am speaking about, because I really didn't know if this audience is aware of, so I just wanted everyone to come on a level field. Now, childhood, growing up and family. I didn't have a very conventional childhood, neither did I have a very conventional growing up. I was born to a family of academicians. My mom and dad both are professors. They were intercaste married. My mom ran away with my dad in 1970s Bihar. Can you imagine? But, and hence, I'm the fourth child. I have three elder sisters. We all have lived here and there, Delhi, Bombay. I've lived away from my parents for the past 10 years. That's half my lifetime. It's sort of that independence, and this is very unusual to India. Parents, middle class, educated parents, they don't leave their children. Which is ironic because that, as much as you try to keep the sand in your palms, it goes away as you tighten your fist. And that's, I fail to understand how can it not strike people in India. I see that all around happening. I see people, I see my generation crying for some air to breathe, and they are not given that. So this was me when I was really small. I don't know what I'm doing there, but I thought it was funny enough to put it. I was born to them, so how could I not be cool? Also, the typography was something different. I don't know why presentations go so weird, but yeah. That's my mom, that's my dad, and I survived this phase. I survived this phase. I'm proud of myself. Then came puberty and teenage and love. इश्क पर जोर नहीं है ये वो आतिश गालिब के लगाए ना लगे और बुझाए ना बुझे. It was in my growing up years in Delhi that I realized that I was gay. It was with pornography, I guess. I mean, I knew all along, but pornography really stamped it because oh, that's interesting, and that's how it started. And I guess I was 13. This was 2005, there was no inhibition from me within. I mean, I was mildly religious, but not religious enough to really question my sexuality. I mean, also, my family gave me that independence to be whatever I am.